Hello and welcome back to Albion Online. Today I'm talking about success and sacrifice and how easy those things actually quite often are. We often are told if you want success, you're going to have to make significant, difficult sacrifices. Think about the gentleman who's out there lifting weights. He's struggling every day. He's working hard. He's pushing himself to the limit every day. He never gives up. He never lets up. He just keeps on going and going and going. And he's that guy who's going to tell you if you want to be successful, you're going to be like this. And the bodybuilding routine is often used as a metaphor for life. So people will say, if you want something really, really bad, you're going to have to make a really, really extraordinary sacrifice to get that. And that's not untrue. You do have to sacrifice if you want to get a result. You can't spend all your money and have all of it too. There is a give and a take. There is a requirement that you invest if you want to get a return on investment. That's true. But where this is all a bit deceptive is in what sacrifice actually looks like. Most of the time, what we actually need to sacrifice is things that we really just didn't need anyway. So, for example, let's say I don't go to Starbucks anymore. I stop going through the drive-thru. I stop eating out. I eat at home. It's cheaper. I make my coffee at home. It's affordable. Okay? Well, I've done something huge for my finances by doing less. See, it's not hard to spend time eating dinner at home. The food isn't bad. The coffee isn't bad. But I had to give up a habit. I did make a sacrifice. I gave up something. That's absolutely true. But to say that I made a sacrifice that was painful or even difficult would be a lie. It's actually easier. I don't have to sit in traffic. I don't have to sit in the line at the drive-thru. It's actually easier sometimes to make sacrifices that are an investment in you. It's just difficult emotionally because you are addicted to habits in your life. But if you think that hard work and effort is the key to sacrifice that will invest in your future, you could be sorely mistaken. Because you're going to start working harder and you're going to start struggling more and looking for opportunities to make yourself push to the limit. When in reality, you need to stop pushing to the limit. You need to tone it back, take a step back, and stop doing things which require so much of you. Now, poverty is common because moderation is rare. There's a lot of people who are in a bad situation, and there's a few people who are truly in a situation that's terrible and it's beyond their control. And I think that we see that a lot in developing countries, third world countries, places where people just don't have anything and they have to make the best of what they have. But in first world countries, where we have our phones and we have our computers and we have, $100,000 a year salaries and we're all strolling around saying, poor me, how am I going to make it all work? Well, you know what? If you make $100,000 a year and you can't figure out how to balance your finances so you're not in debt, so you don't have a net positive, that's a personal problem. That's not because you need more money. That's not because you need career advancement. That's not because you need some kind of a breakthrough. That's because you're irresponsible. Because, like, I was looking at some video about this woman. She lives in, terrible squalor. in a in a village, and she's making do on $70 a month, and she's grateful. And then you have those of us who are thinking it's a sacrifice not to go to Starbucks. See, you just have to understand that if you want to get out of the cycle of being a victim, you have to start embracing moderation in your life. And just embracing moderation is often much more impactful, much more valuable than making outright sacrifices or challenging yourself in ways that are extremely taxing. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't ever do that. Doesn't mean that you should never push your body or push your mind or be more disciplined. But it's like figuring out how to add more thrust in a rocket engine when you could just eliminate the drag that makes it so that the plane falls out of the sky like a rock. A glider doesn't need a lot of thrust because it's aerodynamic. And it's the same thing in our lives. If we eliminate the extra burdens we don't need to be carrying, then we don't have to be superheroes just to break even. Now, finally, I want to settle with this last thought. There is no such thing as free, because everything has a maintenance cost. So let's say I say, okay, I'm going to give you a free dog. Okay, I give you a free dog. Well, it's not really a free dog, is it? Because the dog's going to need to go to the vet. It's going to need to have food to eat. It's going to need a leash, right? So that dog has costs. So I'll give you a free dog. What I'm doing is actually giving you an expense and eliminating an expense that I had. So now I have more money and you have less because you got something that comes with maintenance costs. And it's the same thing with houses and cars and all of the different little trinkets, doodads, hobbies, interests, obsessions which we glom onto in life. You lead a simpler life, then you don't have 100 different things that all have a passive maintenance cost that are going to require your continued follow-up, attention, and dedication just to keep them in basic working order. So if I was going to get a house, I'd want a little house that's simple to maintain. Single-story house with a simple roof that's not too steep so I can go put the shingles on it myself. And a little yard that I can easily maintain. I don't want a big mansion. A big mansion that is going to require all sorts of specialized skills to maintain and specialized tools to even just do basic things for it. Right? But see, if I said, I'll give you whatever you want, would you ask for a little? Or would you ask for so much that what you got, you'd never be able to maintain? And that's the problem we have. Quite often, we're so busy trying to get as much as we can. A little more salary, a little more land, a little bit more achievement. We're so busy trying to get our hands around as much as we can get that we don't actually think about the maintenance costs in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of mental space and freedom. When you exercise moderation, you don't have to make sacrifices that are as large, and everything is just a lot more manageable. So if I was going to make any advice, suggestion to somebody, I wouldn't say go push yourself harder. I would say be more gentle with yourself, but also consume less. Be content with less. And instead of hanging on to habits and assets that require a lot of maintenance, learn instead to focus on understanding that you have enough already and start believing that you have a life that is blessed enough without needing anything more. Thank you very much.